Hello and welcome to Trends with LJE, where we take a closer look at the stories making the rounds across Nigeria and beyond, and what they mean for development, governance, and society at large. I am your host, Maimuna Ahoiza Zubair, and with me today on the panel are development strategist Shedrack Oka, media expert and lecturer Dr. Uchiara Ikedi Chris, and public policy analyst Chidi Iluameke.
Thank you for having me.
How was your weekend, gentlemen?
Very well.
Very splendid.
Good to have all of us here again. Chidi, we haven't seen you in a week, so I hope to see you all through this week.
Yeah, I'm here. Good to see you.
Let's begin with education. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has released the 2025 UTME results, and the numbers are worrying. Out of nearly 2 million candidates who sat for the exam, only 420,415 scored above 200. Over 1.5 million candidates scored below 200. Just 756 scored above 320. 7,658 fell between 300 and 319. And of the 40,247 underage candidates who were given special permission to write the exam, only 467 met the exceptional ability benchmark. Professor Ishaq Oloyede, JAMB registrar, said only 0.24% of candidates scored 320 and above. Let's talk about this, Shadrach. These are worrying numbers. What do these numbers say about the state of Nigeria's education system? Is this a failure of curriculum? Is it a failure of delivery? Is it everything? Is it something deeper?
Well, it's a combination of all those factors you
Mentioned, yeah.
And this is 21st century. We are still struggling with those factors. It's not pleasing at all. We are not making progress as a country. Particularly, I took special notes of even the exceptional performing students, those who got 300 and above. I discovered something amongst all of the candidates that scored. The one who scored about 370, I discovered he got chemistry 98, physics 98, biology 97, and then it was English that he got 77. If you check all of that, about 30 marks that they miss, the one who scored about 340 something, it was still English. You find English 77, 67, and all of that. Yet you don't need English for development in the country. So in science, development, and whatever you have, English is a list of the subjects that accounts for progress and development in terms of the metric of measurement. But yet, this is what Nigerians have used as a yardstick for, performance, or even graduating students into the next admission, for instance. In other developed society, that is not the case. So I don't know what our experts in education are still waiting for. We will say in one breath that we need science to develop. And in the other breath, we are giving priority to English language. Today, the Indians, Chinese are learning Igbo language, but they will never use Igbo language as a yardstick for giving their children admission into the university. So
absolutely.
All of these things, up to today, our education sector, I think we are still playing. There is no clear-cut philosophy that we are following to show that we are really serious as a country. And so for me, it is saddened my mind that even today, these things are still being misplaced. And very unfortunately, we see for the underage students below 16 or around 16 who eventually struggle because the JAMB made it impossible for them to write, but special permission were given for them to write. It was just 10% that wrote and passed, 10% of that.
Yeah.
That for me, it is not the true test of those children's abilities at all. I don't know whatever it is. Maybe the risk factor with which they wrote 6 a.m. and all of that. I don't bet it is a far cry. So for me, you can't use that to measure so that they will not say those below 16 are not, will not perform well.
Right.
It is not at all, a measure of their intelligence. Because if you look at their records in their various schools, they are high flyers.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened that they got this very wrong. So the performance for JAMB this time
Was a
It's
bit
retrogressive.
Yeah, very. And that is even what I'm going to be asking Dr. Chris when we talk about retrogressive or retrogression. Are we witnessing a generational decline in academic performance, or is it the testing methods? We talked about how even exceptional students, 40,000 of them wrote, and less than 1,000 of them were able to meet the threshold for pass mark. So is this an era of generational decline in academic performances, or are we having, some sort of issue with our testing methods, our assessment? Is it outdated and unfit for the kind of learners that we now have?
Thank you for asking me that questions. And I must start by saying that you invariably answered the question somehow by asking if this is a testament to the decline of our education in Nigeria. Let me start from the scratch. What are the type of teachers that are teaching these students? When you go to the schools in our country today, you see that many people are teachers just because they are looking for what to eat, not because they are called to teach.
Right.
Now, you see somebody who is not trained as a teacher and is teaching. What do you expect from the teacher to give to the students? So if I am to say the decline started from the recruitment process of our teachers,
right,
the technologies in our labs, and to the school administrators, every one of them is out there looking for what to eat, not because, just like in our days, we have people that are called to teach. And when they are teaching, they are very passionate about impacting that knowledge in the child. But today, the reverse is the case. Now, coming to this, the aspect of our curriculum. Yes, my colleague just said something here. Why is English language a prerequisite for recruiting or admitting students in the university? This is a communication process with which teachers used to teach, not because English is our own. We can also use another language to teach our people. What they need is to understand what is being taught to them. So if I am to say there is a sharp decline, and it's evident, what the JAMB said, what the JAMB result portrayed here is that, yes, it calls for the education department in the country to brace up. We need to do something that will do so that our education will come up. And this is what will lead to the development of this country.
Absolutely.
So if I am to say my own submission there is that is an evident yardstick to measure the sharp decline of our education in the country, and the people concerned should do something about it.
Absolutely. Moving quickly along, the wives of Nigeria's 36 governors have called for better visibility and support to amplify their social intervention work. At a media and leadership retreat tagged Leading with Impact, Ogun First Lady Bamidele Abiodun said, "Our visibility is not vanity, it is responsibility." Stephanie Busari, a media strategist and former CNN Africa editor, led the retreat, pointing out that governors' wives are at the front line of issues like maternal health education, gender-based violence, and economic empowerment, but are often unheard due to limited communication tools. In a related development, former First Lady Dame Patience Jonathan has come out in full support of the current First Lady, Senator Remi Tinubu, saying she will campaign alongside her and believes in the turn-by-turn principle for national unity. Chidi, I'm going to come to you first. I purposely put this two emergent situations together so we can juxtapose the issue of First Ladyship in Nigeria. I feel over the past 8 years, we've had a decline in the importance that the office of the First Lady holds in, national development. I would like for you to speak to that. What are your thoughts on, specifically this situation where 36 governors' wives are calling for support, and also your thoughts on Patience Jonathan's remarks over the weekend?
It is okay for them to call for support, but it is not constitutional for them to call for support, because who we elected are their husbands, and if their husbands can perform their roles, is enough. They have pet projects that they have within their purview. There's nothing. What are they asking for? Are they asking for budgetary allocations? So there's no need for them to call for any support. They have the support of their husbands by nature, and they have their pet projects. So we shouldn't even take our time on that issue. They should just take care of their husbands so that they are in the good mood to handle the economic situations of their various states. Let us face Patience Jonathan and her recent concern and of course support for, after Patience Jonathan, Nigeria have not had an interesting first lady.
Right.
Every week there's always one joke, my fellow, I don't
widows.
One of those. So perhaps she wants to help lighten the mood of the nation, President Jonathan. I want to let Remi Tinubu to be aware that there is need for her to be maybe a jester, perhaps. But anyway, on a lighter note, but
right.
I don't think it's a personal thing. She has. Wike it was because of Patience Jonathan's insistence, that majorly that we can see Wike becoming what he is as a governor, and today, so it's her own political business. It's her own political business. It has no bearing, even though it is. It looks like as if it's consequential, but I don't think it is.
Sorry, Memuna, to add to what she just said, the Patience Jonathan statement on the aspect of saying that the husband is not going to run, I want to look at the political impact of that statement.
Yeah.
A woman cannot just come and just say that just because she wants to say it. I want to tell you there is an in-house discussion about that, and that is what she has just come to say. And the political impact remains that she must have discussed it with the husband.
Right.
And she came out to say that we are going to support Tinubu. And being that these people are the same, not minding what Tinubu and the family, Tinubu himself did to Goodluck Jonathan during his time, undermining it, they came out to say, I'm going to support Tinubu. So I'm seeing it as it's political, and it didn't come out from her alone. She is speaking for the family. Absolutely. And that is what I can make out of.
Shadrach, very quickly, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, first, the first is the First Lady's crying out for
support,
attention, media attention. Their voices should be heard. I don't think anybody prevented their voices to be heard. I know when we were kids, I was in Owerri as a child when our mothers every Saturday would come out, Better Life for Rural Women. That was the pet project of a First Lady in this country who lived. That is about close to 40 years now. And the last I could know a president's wife ran something very impactful was the Women for Change initiative by Patience Jonathan. I don't know what exactly you point at what Senator Remi Tinubu is doing.
She ran something recently, which was
a Renewed Hope initiative.
It's not that I think Renewed Garden. It is more garden.
No. The pet project is supposedly
really
which
she can
launched.
Boast
yes.
Of that.
I'm speaking for her.
Her pet project which she launched officially was Renew Hope initiative. Of course, one of those occasions she doled out about 10 billion naira, which came out from private donations. But if you want to measure the impact of these projects to the nation, and this is the office of the First Lady, other 36 governors have to take a lead from her.
Absolutely.
What exactly is she piloting that you say if she leaves office, Nigerians can say this is the impact.
Point to it.
During Patience Jonathan as the First Lady for Women for Change, we know in this country, Nigerian women got the 35% affirmation. If you go through the state, you see, look, like my state in Cross River said, almost all the local government, about 70% were women. So those things are impactful. She has left office, but those impacts were there. When they left, look at what we have today, women inclusion in government, less than how many percent? So these are the issues. So if the First Ladies are crying, they need their voice to be heard. Who is stopping their voices to be heard? Come up with your pet project. I cannot even mention one First Lady today. The former First Lady in Niger State. You look at what that woman was doing with women in craft. We have the National Council of Women's Society that used to have subvention. In 2003, this subvention was eroded. Up till now, they don't have subvention. How would you function? And they have a very national, widespread structure for which these issues intervention can be carried out. First Ladies should see that. I think the fault is from their spouses. Maybe since Buhari made the statement, that is why the alterations the utterances of leaders should know that it is somewhat a law.
What did he say?
Since Buhari said the wife belongs to the kitchen and other rooms, since then we have not recovered.
That's true.
We have not recovered.
That's very
so
true.
there must be an intentional and deliberate effort for somebody like Oswaju, who is well exposed, should make the difference.
And
let them deliberately support the office of the First Lady.
Absolutely.
And so that we can have a bit fair. But for the other hand, where Patient Jonathan said they are going to support campaign alongside Lurumi Tinubu, it called for one thing. There are no permanent enemies in politics.
Absolutely.
They're just permanent interests. At least that is their interest, but I hope that interest will serve the larger good of Nigerians and not just private individuals.
Individual sentiments. Well said. We'll go on a quick break now, and when we return, we will be talking about drugs and trafficking. Stay with us.
Nigeria is at a turning point. Young people are rising, demanding change. If you believe in justice, strong leadership, and real reform, then it's time to take a stand.
At LJE Nigeria, we're not just observers, we're builders. We're tackling leadership deficits, advocating for justice reforms, and driving economic advancements for all.
As a volunteer, you won't just watch, you will be a part of it. You will gain access to powerful seminars, conferences, and mentorships from professionals who believe in your potential.
No matter who you are, whether you're a student, an entrepreneur, a professional, or someone who cares, there's a place for you here.
Network with passionate change makers, build skills, and step into leadership.
Join LJE Nigeria today. Let's lead with truth. Let's build with courage. Let's rise for Nigeria. Become an LJE volunteer today and be the change Nigeria needs. Follow all our social media handles for more details. Welcome back. The program is still Trends with LJE. On to our next topic. NAFDAC has stated that 14.3 million Nigerians are victims of drug abuse, and the consequences are dire, from school dropouts to absenteeism, family neglect, and rising crime rates. Speaking at a secondary school in Oyo State, NAFDAC Director General Professor Mojisola Adeyeye stressed the importance of youth-focused sensitization. 1 in 4 high-risk drug users has been arrested for theft, sex work, or burglary. Through the new NAFDAC Consumer Safety Club, students are being trained to become peer educators. Meanwhile, over the weekend, the NDLEA uncovered a fuel tanker with a hidden compartment designed to smuggle drugs, evidence of how sophisticated trafficking has become. I'm going to come to you first, Shadrach. We talked about this off camera, I think, and I would like to hear your thoughts on what this means. We heard where the Director General of NAFDAC had to come out and say that they need to be testing for members of our, of NDLEA actually, that they need to be testing for members of our legislators, and even NYSC at one point. So it means that drug use and drug abuse has become a serious vice in our society. What role do communities and schools and even parents, the community at large, play in drug prevention? How are we even having access to these drugs and abusing them in the first place?
It's alarming, the rate at which illicit drugs and drugs itself have been abused in the country. And it shows just one thing: a collapse of the system. It's part of the manifestation of the failing nature of our institutions and the government as a whole. Beyond the statistics that have been reeled out, one important factor that I, spent time on was the result of several researchers showed some of the causal factors to drug abuse rising, and one of which is corruption. Corruption, poor health-seeking behavior of Nigerians, high prices of locally manufactured drugs. and the personal interest, the interest of even the regulators themselves. So if you look at this thing very well, we are not winning the war, so long as we are not ready to improve on all these causal factors. There is nowhere our system doesn't encourage locally manufacturing industries in the country. You always have people who go out of their way to peddle drugs, to bring in these drugs. And the society, we are losing it every day. Go to nursery, primary schools, secondary schools, these things are being consumed by people. So I think they should improve on our community safety watch, higher penalties. I was looking at the act in section 2 sub 1 of their act that stipulates for penalties, say not less than 500,000 and not less than 2 years imprisonment. I think they should consider something even more stiffer for enablers of these drugs, cartel, something very even more stiffer. If that is done, and if a secondary school child is caught in this, the person should be expelled. You should be banned from going back to school. Something stiffer that we even get down to even schools. Schools should be able to, lose their licenses of operations so that they will take these strong measures against all this drug abuse in schools, because teachers do this. If you look at let me end here, some of these designated areas where drugs are being sold in our communities, even in town, if you go there, one of the things you see very commonly is the brazen impunity with which they carry out, because they tell you even security agencies patronize them.
Right.
So that gives them the lever to attempt to do it with impunity and nothing. So for some users in secondary school, for those of us that go to secondary school, they copy that from their parents, from homes. And when you see that teachers are scared, they cannot touch the child who does that. So stiffer penalties for me, and then community should be involved. NOA, National Orientation Agency, should go on about sensitization with good messaging, using even our entertainers to, most of them are even in this. So I don't know, It's an alarming situation.
Chidi, I'm going to come to you. This recent NDLE bust shows that the traffickers are even getting more innovative with how they're smuggling their goods into the country. Do you think that there is enough in terms of, even our policies that extend beyond criminalization, but also sensitization for awareness about the dangers of these drugs? I feel there are less awareness programs now than there were before on the dangers inherent in drug use. Do you think there's room for improvement, and what can be done? What agencies should we be looking to improve sensitization of drug use in Nigeria?
Thank you. The question you begin to ask yourself is, and that is what it is, drug use, illicit drug use is a crime and is against the societal norms. How many of these kind of situations are we going to put up in the public to sensitize the public about? If you begin to count them, it means you cannot watch TV without watching sensitization program each minute, each second. Do you understand? Majorly, for me, it's not majorly about penalties. Part of it. It's not just the penalties. We look at how can we stem, how can we nip this in the bud? The first is the family. Being a responsible parent. Being responsible, most times, if you like the statistics out there, by NDA, by NAFDAC has it that these drug users are actually secondary school pupils. The large chunk of them falls within that category, and I can tell you for free that even tertiary school, users and everything, you begin to realize that their parents know that their children are into this. Just like you are a father, you're a mother, they will tell you, hey, this is your child. He said, no, I know my son. He will not do this. Most of them will protect their children. It starts from that. And some of them, they don't even have time parenting these days. It's not just on drugs, on other aspects. Criminality, even academic, poor academic performance. it has to be a lifestyle. It's the family. And where a parent or single parent or parents fail to provide that nurture, fail to, then forget it, they will lose it. And then the other part, on the wider scale, you now talk about examples. Growing up those days, I will see, you see your elders, they are doing something wrong, and they say, no, don't do this, is evil. But you see them, they are doing it, but they don't advertise that evil. Today, you see people smoking and they are there. And kids are watching you, so we'll look at the family, we'll also look at the agencies themselves, purging themselves off this, because NDLEA, I can tell you that the few NDLEA people you see on the road, many of them look like drunkard, like they are on drugs already. If you look at them, I can tell you for free, look at them on the road. You begin to ask, are these people touts that they just wear uniform on? The way they behave, the way they even talk to, it's as if they're already high already. Look at the recent bust, is it Assistant Inspector General? No, what was his name? Deputy Commissioner or Assistant Commissioner of Police, the former force, the one that, is it Abakiare? He's a police officer.
Right.
At that higher, you understand? So the officers themselves needs to be purged first. When I mean officer, the NAFDAC people. So I think majorly that, and then the other part again that is not unconnected is the difficult economic hardship we are facing. Absolutely. Especially for young people, and they want to see as escape and coping mechanism.
Absolutely.
So they just want to go high and forget that they want to feel like they're in Jonathan administration. They don't want to believe that they're in Tinubu administration. So that is important, honestly. And then we don't have rehabilitation center. We need to have real rehabilitation center. Our rehabilitation centers are not really working. So I think.
Can I add to that, please?
Very quickly, please.
So I want to speak on the aspect of our traditional rulers and our religious leaders. What are they preaching? What is their message to the society? What are they telling the people? When you go to churches today or you go to a mosque, you see their preaching and the message to the society is not all about the manners and the attitude or character of our children. Their message should be streamlined on how our children should have attitudinal change to all these things. So this is what I want to say in this area. Not talking about how to make money, how to bring money to the prosperity and all the rest. So they should know what to talk to our children so that we'll have a future Nigeria.
Absolutely. Very true. Well said. Moving on, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has confirmed the repatriation of 115 Nigerians trafficked to Ivory Coast, thanks to Air Peace's chairman, Alan Onyema, who provided free flights and pledged medical care for the returnees. Also, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, received 78 victims, mostly women and children, at Murtala Mohammed International Airport. Dr. Chris, I'm coming to you first on this. This is a great development. I didn't even know, among the plenty routes where people are being trafficked to, I didn't know Ivory Coast was one of those places. What is there? I'm sorry to say, that people are running away from their country to. But this is a larger, indictment on the state of the nation, that people are running to other African countries and getting trafficked there to serve as slave and sex workers. So I would like to hear what your thoughts are on this. Specifically, the fact that we have to have private intervention, the chairman of Air Peace having to come in to assist the ministry and even NAPTIP in getting these people home. What does this mean?
Yes, thank you very much for throwing that question to me. This problem of trafficking has many phases, if I am to say. It stems from the family, to the government, our leaders, now to the government agencies saddled with the responsibility of curtailing all these things. So it has many phases. Let me start from the family. We just talked about our family as one of the places to curb so many some vices in the society. Now, looking at it, some of our family failed. And that is the reason the children and the parents cannot know the whereabouts of the children. When, as a parent, you fail to do what you're supposed to do as a parent, the child will escape from your hand. And what can a child do if not to follow the peers? By this way, you see people being trafficked. Now, our parent has a lot to do. What is your child doing? What kind of friends does she or does he have? Where is she? Where is he? Do you know the whereabouts of your child at a particular time? So our parents are called to work in this area. Secondly, the hard economic condition in the country is another cause of this problem, which I am not trying to say that people should go out of the country as a way of trying to make living. No, our leaders has a lot to do. The government of the day has a lot to do. They should provide these children with what to do. They should engage them rightly, and by this reason, they will not go out. Thirdly, the agents of the government agencies saddled with this responsibility should tighten up. Some of them failed. These children were trafficked from this country. They didn't fly out of this country. They were sent out from the airport, from the borders, from the seaport.
Absolutely.
So how did these people escape, if not from all these ways? So it calls for the agents of the government to tighten up and do their work rightly. So this is what I can say in this regards.
Very true, Chidi. We're talking about, he talked about porous borders. And so I'm confused about what our border strength is that is allowing for 115, and this is just the number that they could bring back, and that is thousands and thousands of Nigerians that are trafficked on a regular basis across our borders, both on land, sea, and what have you. What are your thoughts on how we can proactively prevent trafficking, strengthen our borders, and not just be responding to it when it has already happened?
Very good. You ask yourself, most of those people trafficked do not even know that they'll be used as sex workers. Even in UAE, you hear horrible stories, horrible, heart-wrenching stories.
Absolutely.
They never believed that they would face those situations. They wanted to go. Ask them. Look, listen to their interviews. It's because of poverty. People are multidimensionally poor. United Nations has also recently talked about the fact that millions of Nigerians on a daily basis are multidimensionally poor. People don't understand what it means by multidimensionally poor. Somebody said, look, you cannot live on $1 per day. Where is the $1? People don't even see. 50 cents. How many people see 50 cents? Not talk about $1. So the solution to this is production. The government of the day need to ensure that industries are set up. You begin to ask yourself, how can you address, look, this is a national security concern.
Absolutely.
We should not be sitting here we're talking about, because with all of these issues we've talked about today in the studio, they're all related to employment, the poverty issue, the drug issue, the frustration, even the JAMB issue. If people were productive, for instance, you will see them in their farms. You will see them busy. Nigerians are one of the most productive human beings you can have on the planet Earth. Go abroad and see what they do academically and otherwise. Go look at the genesis, look at the innovations. And these people are being trafficked because they cannot afford a cup of rice.
Absolutely.
So these are the things. We just hope that the government can sit up and provide avenues for the teeming youths, because these teeming youths you're seeing that are being trafficked and brought back again to suffer. Because what would have happened, what I wanted to hear, and Nigerians will be pleased, I suppose, is that these people are brought back and employed or put into a farmland.
Absolutely.
And engaged somehow, productively, meaningfully.
Right.
But you don't see that. The 36 governors' wives that are campaigning for recognition, this is time for them to act.
Absolutely.
We need to also applaud Allen Onyema. He always come through. And people keep quiet. This is a man who is patriotic, who have used air peace to champion the cause of humanity. He deserves the Global Peace Award. This is a man who has done something amazing. But he doesn't end there. Bringing them home to frying pan that they left and went to fire. You should give them succor. And this is what a responsible government should do.
Absolutely.
At this time, what we should be hearing from NAFDAC is their partnership with the state government that these people belong to, and a kind of a national emergency approach to solving this problem, so that our teeming youths, our resources will not be shipped elsewhere. Shamefully, an African country that our GDP supposedly
surpasses. Absolutely. That's why I was asking earlier. Let's move forward to less troubling stories to wrap up. Let's shift gears to entertainment. The 2025 edition of the Africa Magic Viewers Choice Awards AMVCA held over the weekend in grand style. AMVCAs continue to spotlight the best of African film, television, and digital storytelling, celebrating the actors, creators, and productions that have shaped the industry over the past year. Seven Doors, a historical drama series created by Femi Adebayo, emerged as the night's biggest winner, bagging Best Lead Actor for Adebayo and Best Lead Actress for Chioma Chukwuka, as well as Best Music and Score. In addition to these wins, Seven Doors received nominations in several categories, including Best Indigenous Language Film, Best Makeup, Best Art Direction, and Best Music. The annual award ceremony, now in its 11th edition, was attended with pomp and spectacle, once again confirming Nigeria's rising dominance in African film and television. Shadrach, thoughts? Did you watch the awards?
Part of it, I read it. I
Okay.
didn't watch it. But on the whole, what the creative industry have done for us in this country is amazing.
Absolutely.
I think it should be the second, if not second or third biggest employers of labor in the country, but they have not received the requisite support from the federal government. Every responsible government should know at this time that they deserve, the entertainment industry, the creative industry in Nigeria deserve more support to enable us tackle unemployment, reduce poverty in the country. We're going back to the awards and the film. I think the storyline is very intriguing and interesting, especially where the king, who was supposed to perform some rituals which they symbolize as seven doors, did not do that, and the catastrophic effect it had in the community. Fantastic actress, Chioma Chukwuka, and the rest. Nigerians, our government should pay more attention to the creative industry, put more funds, more support, so that it will generate more opportunities for our youth. Because like I said, if not the second, it should be the third highest of employers of laborers in the country.
And that's where I will come to you, Dr. Chris. When we talk about the creative economy, we talked about the creative industry. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the creative economy of Nigeria. This is, like you said, possibly the third biggest employer of labor in this country. And we are seeing how Nigerians are so, genius with their ingenuity in the creative space. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Yes, in compendium, I can say this is a blend of talent, fashion, and culture. Watching that program, I saw an untapped sector of the economy, and being a sector of the economy that the youth is always interested in, looking at the whole world today. When you go to the US, you go to the UK, our music is the talk of the day.
Absolutely.
Our people are at the high level of that creativity, So I saw a blend of talent, fashion, and culture. He showed to the world that, yes, it's Africans, it's Nigeria, and we are talented. It was an opportunity, a window for our youth to tell the world, here we are.
Absolutely.
This is what we can do. So my advice is that the government of the day, our leaders should pay more attention, give them the needed support and funding, and we can do more in that area. So, and being a place that is not tapped as expected, if funded, if the required attention is given to it, we will do more and better than we have done.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate it.
Just to add just a bit, the good thing in all of these things is that nobody crowd foul that they rigged. There was no
Selection
rigging
process.
of who won, you know, and that's important, and that will encourage the creative industry to do extra more, you know, and encourage talent. You know, if there was rigging, you will hear it, just like we're hearing in Nigeria, the Nigeria election, and nobody's excited about it.
And that's it for today on Trends with LJE. A big thanks to our panel, Shadrach, Dr. Chris, and Chidi. Always a pleasure to have you. Your insights, as usual, very invaluable. For the audiences, thank you so much for joining us as always. Be sure to stay tuned. We'll be here all week. I am Maimuna Ahoiza Zubair. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged. Bye for now.